Hey, I'm glad you're here. Now it's time for some parallel processing in FL Studio 20. First of all, it has tons of new features, but we're not going to view all the features today, but we're going to focus on a feature that is going to be really useful for me and for you if you use it correctly. It's about the PDC, the plugin delay compensation. In FL Studio 12, they had good improvement of the overall the plugin delay compensation, but what they did from the 12 to the 20 is they adjusted that the dry and wet knob plugin delay compensation. That means that we can do parallel processing on our tracks and parallel processing on our channels. So we're going to dive into that today. So what is parallel processing? I kind of explained it a bit already, but it's known also as New York style compression, Hollywood style compression. I've heard it being referred as Hollywood too. But yeah, what it is actually having a part of the signal which is the dry signal, and well, it's New York style compression, but you can it's not just limited to compression. You can use it with all the effects, any type of processing, and we're gonna do it with tape saturation and other saturation. But yeah, the parallel processing is having part of the signal which is dry and part of the signal which is the wet signal, with the signal processed with whatever you wanted to put. Most of the time, especially with compression, what it's gonna do, it's gonna give you that like in your face effect. And yeah, it can make stuff sound bigger too. So we're gonna apply that. Here I have a kick and bass. This is I do that often because much easier to work. This is the rendered bus from a track. They have a bit of processing, but they can benefit from more. So this is the kick and bass channel here. And what I want to do is first of all, I want to show you with the Fruity compressor, which is the standard compressor from FL Studio. I'm going to set up the compressor for parallel processing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a settings that is a bit more intense, a bit more extreme than what I would normally do if I only had the compressor being run normally. But now, because I'm going to use 50% of the signal dry, 50% of the signal wet, I can go for maybe something more intense, more muscular, and that's quite the idea. So you have that contrast between your dry signal and the wet signal, and that's what makes it the desired effect. So compressor. So I have the setting I want, and if you hear the difference right now, there's some compression being applied, and you kind of hear the kick and bass. The bottom is starting to fizzle a bit. You hear there's something going on. I'm gonna just do a bypass for you, and you're gonna hear what I mean. So this would be, I would not go for that setting if I were to keep it like this. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the dry wet knob around here maybe. So right now it's giving a bit of character to the kick and bass, a bit more beef. I just want to check if the release is correct. Yeah, with 68 milliseconds, now it's better. 1 milliseconds was definitely too short, but this settings for the compressor is good, and that's it. That's how you do parallel compression. I'm gonna give you some other examples so you really grasp it correctly. But with the kick and bass, I'm going to use the Hornet tape. It's a plugin I often use, and if you've watched a couple of tutorials, you've seen this guy already. The thing with tape saturation, on one channel there's no problem, but if you put it on, let's say, a group, a bus, then there's more sound coming in, and with high frequencies it's okay, but with low frequencies it can, it's really adding fat, and with low frequencies it can make stuff muddy, but it adds some nice juicy sounds. But what we can do is have the tape saturation and have a nice effect we desire, and with the parallel process it so we get, let's say, 20% of the fat of the tape, and we get 70%, 75% of the dry signal. So let's do that. I'm going to adjust the auto gain. Oh, yeah, this is the perfect example. So right now we have 100%. Let me just bypass it for you so you hear what it does. It's really adding a lot in the low frequency, and it's not that bad, but you can hear it's getting a bit muddy. So I'm gonna try having 25% of it. Yeah, that's much better. I'm just getting that edge without adding the old, And sometimes in plugins they have a dry wet knob, but others don't, and that's why this one is really useful now with no latency. Well, with latency compensated now, so that's really great. So that was the kick and bass. We're gonna go in on another channel and get the same process going. So what I have the lead bus here. It's good, but it lacks a bit of character and a compression too. So I'm going to do some parallel processing too, but I'm going to use a different compressor. I loaded Rough Rider. It's freeware by Audio Damage. Nice compressor, and it's like really it's a really aggressive compressor, like very noticeable. And so what I'm gonna do, I want to benefit from that nice juicy compression, but there, you see there's no dry wet knob here, but we have one here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play it for you, so without the compressor, and then activate it so you can hear what's going on, what it's doing, and after I'm going to adjust the dry wet knob. And now with the dry wet. really lift things up. Although those lower values in terms of loudness kind of brings everything up. So that's cool. And thanks to the dry wet knob, we were able to do parallel processing. Now let's try parallel saturation with Tube Amp by Vox & Go. I'm gonna talk about this plugin more extensively in a future tutorial, but right now let's just say that it is a saturation unit, and you have the famous drive knob, and you push. We're gonna push some saturation, and again we're gonna go a bit more higher, a bit more intense than we normally would if we would do some normal processing. And after that, we're going to use again the dry wet, because there's no dry wet on that plugin. Sometimes those knobs are called mix, so you can really mix the signal, but not on this one. So I'm going to let's start with the drive and then the dry wet after. All right, so now bypassing the Tube Amp. It's really cool, and we don't even have, like, I don't hear any. It's not distorting yet, so that's good. And let's adjust the dry wet. Let's do a bypass comparison with the lead bus so we can hear what the parallel processing is doing. And why not improvise and add why not spread that channel a bit? So I'm gonna use Wider by Infected Mushroom. I'm gonna super simple plugin. You just make stuff wider. We're gonna work the same way. I'm gonna get somewhat an extreme settings, and after that we're gonna parallel process it. Let's do a bypass just for the wider. It's time for complete bypass for the lead. It's two world, isn't it? Two worlds. And the thing is, that channel right here, the Rough Rider, Tube Amp, and Wider, are all freeware, so you can go and grab them right now. That's it for parallel processing. I think you get the idea. It's another way to process things, and it has some advantage. Like I say, it can give you help you achieve that in your face feeling, give a bit of dimension to your sound just by having that contrast between the dry and wet signal. And thanks for FL Studio for bringing that plugin delay compensation game to another level. If you liked the video and the tutorials, don't forget to subscribe for more content by myself or other Ghost Act producers, and I will see you in another video.